bopping right now to the boom, 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 boom. If you feel like boom, booming along, it's a form of humming, you could say, sort of Stevie Wonder style. Boom, 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 boom. Just kind of shake it up a little bit. Things are moving. It's Libra. There's dialogue going on. The writer's strike is ending. It's good. Diplomacy is at hand. Libra rules the air. Just kind of shake it out, relax your brain. Breathing through the nose. If you want to hum along, we'll go into a song in a minute that you might sound familiar, but it's right now we're just hanging out in this sort of, what is it, like a B7 sus chord, kind of floats there, good for meditation. Boom, 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 boom. You feel like getting your own groove going. It's a fun thing. Just to boom, boom, boom. Here comes the end, and we're ready to just boom, 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 boom. Get into a nice, smooth Libran groove. Breathing through the nose. It's like a moving meditation. Everyone's invited to just boom, 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 boom. You can get creative. It's a joyous day. The riders are back in the groove, or sounds like they will be shortly. Your favorite shows will come back on. Stephen Colbert's back. We need some smart folks like, you know, carving up the news, you know. I see the crystal raindrops fall. The beauty of it all is when the sun comes shining through. To make those rainbows in my mind, think of you sometime. Wanna bomb some bomb with you. Just the two of us. You're all invited to just boom, 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 a little swing in your thing. Just the two of us. We can make it if we try, just the two of us, you and I. We wait for love, no time for tears. Wasted water's all that is. It don't make no flowers grow. Good things might come to those who wait, not for those who wait too late. You gotta go for all you know. You're just now joining us. We're just bopping right along with the boom. Feel free to whisper. whistle right along, it's a happy day. The writer's strike has gone away. All my friends can get some pay, yeah, yeah. We feel the love flowing in like air. Just kind of let it go. Whatever it is you might be holding so. I hear the crystal raindrops fall on the window down the hall, yeah. Here comes the morning dew. Just the two of us. We can make it if we try, yeah. Just the two of us. You and I. Having some fun on a Monday night before we talk about fat burning and sugar metabolism. Oh, well, welcome everyone. That was fun. It's like action meditation is good too, right? You want to be able to take that deep stillness state and activate, calibrate, especially with Harvest Moon coming up. Friday, we're moving towards that full moon energy. It's very, well, we've got all kinds of complex asteroids doing interesting things, like the, was it Eris?
Don't ask.
Don't ask me. Eris is like the uninvited woman, right? And she's sort of in this position with Mars, but Mars is not in his strong sign, and then Venus is in Leo, and it's sort of like, oh, we have to behave. We have to, you know, like there's diplomacy going on while certain cultural icons are being trashed by governments. And anyway, very interesting, liberating time, right? Feels like it's good if Congress is going to have a shutdown, that this kind of energy is going on, kind of forcing it to a close, right? It's very, very diplomatic. So today, Monday, is a good day for energies going forward. Maybe there was a lot of things kind of like hanging on since Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You know, for us, there was a bunch of some news that just sent things forward. So that's always good. So we're going to breathe into the rollout. Good feeling attracts the healings. Just dropping into the still space. Get a little assistance from this instrument. I always feel like if I want to take in information or process information, if my mind is running around somewhere else, then I'm not going to remember much. What is it they say in college lectures? If you take notes but don't reread them, you might as well not have bothered. But if you read them within 24 hours of the lecture, I think our retention goes up from something like 10% to 90 or something, or 8, very high. Like, that's one of the secrets to long-term storage. And also lots of oxygen into the brain. When you can't remember something, I just know an old trick that I do is just to breathe through the nose, and so it activates the recall software. Because when you're not breathing, there's no blood flow, and there's no blood flow, you don't remember much. So just beautiful oxygenation of the brain. So it turns out we have two metabolic systems. There's the one we're all super familiar with, burning fat, carbs. We do it every day, right? Food is broken down into glucose, basically, which we need for all the organs and glands. But as we're probably familiar with the kind of sugar blues perspective, that it's explosive material, and if it's not in balance with proteins and fats, it is sort of like a very, kind of menstrual cycle going on, right? It's kind of explosive. So, not balanced, not steady, not like the guy cycle, which is what I hear. Every 15 seconds we get a little shot of testosterone.
No, 15 minutes.
Every 15, what did I say, 15 seconds?
Yeah.
That's the guy talking. Every 15 minutes we get a shot of testosterone. So the joke is, if you need something from a guy, like, wait 15 more minutes if you said no, right? A little louder. Okay, I'll try to talk a little louder. So, a lot of issues we have where we get clogged up, blocked up, inflamed, ill, in part it's because we're maybe over-accenting this glucose metabolism, right? We just keep feeding ourselves, we just keep eating and eating, and we don't give ourselves space between long enough, which is the whole science behind fasting. Or in this case nowadays, they're starting to understand this, and I'm sure you're familiar with this to some degree, maybe a lot, intermittent fasting and time-restricted fasting and circadian, sort of day versus night. There's all these kind of rules that what they've discovered, or at least what they've understood better, is that we have this other system that digests fats and creates ketones in the liver, acetones and acetates, and these different metabolic functions that basically give us very steady energy. And the idea is, back in the day when we were running around in little pods of hunter-gathering tribes, we would feast on the food massively, and that sugar metabolism and protein, we were just gorging away. But then the tribe would run out of food, right? So suddenly there'd be this new incentive as the tribe got hungrier and hungrier, that another system would kick in, right? The fasting would create this activation of the ketones, which make the brain sharper. You can throw a spear better. Your social interactions are better, so you probably move with your tribe through the forest better. Everything is improved with ketones. Matter of fact, it seems like they're getting repressed out there, at least some of this information. I don't know, but I think it's a threat to, certain forces that want to, activate other perspectives. But here's the thought. Arnold Ehret was, back in the day when I was learning about a lot of this stuff in the 70s, he had this book called Arnold Ehret's Mucusless Diet. And his whole thing was fasting for 40 days, kind of he was of the Essene variety, like Jesus, right? These guys would go out and fast for extended periods. And there's magic that happens when you do this, right? The ketones they basically kick into gear what's something called autophagy, which we talked a little bit a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about anti-aging science coming in. That autophagy is the body's ability to sort of clean up its act, where it sort of removes the fat from the blood cells. It might store it in the other places, but it's working for you to clear out accumulations, stiffness, blockage, congestion, inflammation, infection, right? The whole deal starts with an imbalance in these systems. So, what are some of the solutions? Is that evidently you don't have to go and just stop eating kind of fast. That's not necessarily very healthy, and you'd probably want to consult your doctor for that sort of thing. But in terms of like restricting your caloric intake to say 10 to 5 in winter, right? That's just a little 7-hour block, which gives you 17 hours of fasting, and evidently in 17 hours, the body kicks into making ketones in this massive way. So if you can kick in, if you can wait that long, if you can fast that long and not interrupt it, your body will do some massive fat burning if that's an issue for you, especially from what I'm understanding, get at fat deposits in folks that are hard to get at, right? Because otherwise there's really no other way to do it except to reverse the metabolism from the glucose storage tendency. So anyway, there it is in a nutshell. Oh, let's just take that in. And maybe just notice, like, what are your feeding patterns? It's like different people, everyone has different microbiome, and in different parts of the body, the microbiomes are different. So there's going to be communication going on, and sometimes some are in better health than others. And so anyway, this intermittent fasting, giving your organs and glands a break, allows them to relax. It kicks in new dopamine cycles, which are sort of reward cycles that make us get into habitual patterns, but it resets you to better patterns. So the old dopamine reward relay circuit systems are no longer like old sorrows running your tomorrows kind of thing, right? So we have a metabolic upgrade to getting the liver to not just, break down sugars, but also activate its fat breaking down magic. And that activates GABA, right? Gamma aminobutyric acid, which is like a calming effect on your nervous systems, right? Brings about peace and relaxation. So you might be out for the hunt, but you're more calm, right? Your brain is working better. So anyway, you get the idea. A few more details that might be helpful. So we're breathing. We tend to digest better when the sun is out, right? So proteins, fats, nighttime eating, maybe more prone to fermentation. So anyway, not a doctor, just a researcher. So we're breathing. Good news is good news, right? Knowing that there's hope for your pain and stuff that just never seems to go away. Immobility, right? Stuck, blocked stuff. So consider this intermittent fasting, right? Or time-restricted fasting, where you eat your normal food if that's your set point, but make sure there's lots of space in between the eating window ends where your body can just relax and not have to work so hard. suppose you could say it's a kind of Feng Shui of the body, right, Deanna? Right? It's like autophagy is body, suddenly the cells kind of come back alive and wake up, and they're suddenly activated to clean and clear, versus like, oh, we're all soggy and we're just gonna like, you know, stick our pizza crust over here. When I was in college, there was like a guy, foursome or whatever, four dorm, whatever it's called, pair of rooms down the hall, and they were big chicken eaters and pizza eaters, and I don't know if they ate much else, to be honest, but the little kitchen in Brown Hall was always like this explosion of grease, and just like they just did not know what they were doing. Anyway, so I'm just sort of remembering some of the sort of the strange energies that would come from, I don't know, people eating unconsciously, right? And just making a big mess, right? Just like stuff everywhere. And that's kind of what the body looks like on the inside when we're kind of out of it and semi-consciously just like eating out with some dopamine cycle that got locked in to an emotional thing, right? Where maybe you didn't get over a trauma, and so the diet that sort of you found comfort in at that time is still operating. Because consider that the gut is a 50,000-year-old system, that we're not exactly eating like the roaming bands in the past, right? We're not walking 50 to 100 miles a day. Anyway, so we're breathing. So if we're going to be sedentary, we want to meditate, right? Make use of it. My guru would say that meditation is actually exercise. Even though you think you're just sitting there, you're actually exercising, right? Because you're burning energy, right? You're burning up your water element, your earth element. The fire element is up. But it's also good, right? Another thing he would say is, if you have good digestion, you have the greatest of blessings, right? Nothing like good digestion gives you health, right? And if you're just joining us for this broadcast, we could add to that what we talk about often, which is that the hidden emotional variables are part of our set points, right? That we eat very emotionally. A lot of our behavior is driven by emotional trauma or protection from trauma. We don't want it to happen again, so we figured out a way to sort of, you know, walk between the raindrops and you know, make everyone else step on eggshells. So fasting is a kind of meditation. Meditation is a kind of fasting, is my point. And so the autophagy of thoughts, clearing out the density of our collections of weirdness, whatever they might be, or other people's stuff that's been dumped on us. Peace. Digesting reality. Assimilating reality. Yes, less meals, smaller sizes. Leave room for the prana. The beauty of this understanding is that it doesn't really preclude you from eating anything in particular. Right? You could be a vegetarian, you could be a heavy meat eater, but we're maybe it's helpful to be aware that if you're going to eat such heavy protein in massive doses, then you're going to need a lot of time for your body to burn that up, right? It can be in your system for days. So yeah, if you're eating a lot of meat and you're doing a lot of fasting, at least Tibetan monks eat a lot of meat, but they're also at 18,000 feet. So they need their fuel. They need their meat at 18,000 feet. So we got a few more minutes. What do we got? Breathing through the nose. Is that right, Jan? It says 6:20 here. It looks like it's 6:28 here. Maybe I started late.
That clock may not be right.
No. Time is a concept. So, subjective time. So, just take that opportunity to remind ourselves to slow down. Beautiful breath. Good feeling. Maybe this clock here is slowing down with our meditation. Such magical powers we all have, Diana. Good feeling attracts the healing. Smartest thing I could probably say. Homeopathic principle. Like attracts like. Since we invoke being out there in the hunt, out on the plains of Africa, looking for our next meal. Super high overtones. Namaste, everyone. I hope that was helpful information. May it just burn off any accumulations that aren't helping you. You need to just send through the great black hole of the universe. So your body communicates at the speed of light. You have beautiful microbiome communication from skin to gut to organs, glands. Right? We are like a living city of communication. Every cell, right? The whole goal of the cell is survival. So it's going to do fantastic things to survive. And bodies for thousands of years evidently has already known how to do this. So there we go. Namaste. See you on Thursday.